Manchester United is doing everything they can to land Bryan Mbeumo, but securing the deal has never been straightforward. Brentford's technical director Lee Dykes recently revealed the wild backstory of how Mbeumo first joined the Bees in 2019, involving a private jet, 43 degrees Celsius heat, a failed initial meeting, and a terrifying return flight through snow and lightning. Now, with United's £60 million bid rejected, can they finally get their man? Let's dive into this dramatic transfer saga, past and present. Getting a deal for Bryan Mbeumo over the line has never been easy. Just ask Brentford technical director Lee Dykes. The Cameroon international remains at the top of Manchester United's wish list as Ruben Amorim looks to strengthen his forward line after a poor campaign at Old Trafford. United have had several bids rejected, including one worth £60 million, but remain hopeful of completing the signing. Having already secured Matheus Cunha from Wolves, Brentford signed Mbeumo from French side Troyes in 2019. Although their pursuit of the striker was anything but simple, it was a big moment for Dykes, who had just joined from EFL side Bury. I felt big pressure because I walked into a function where I was trying to carry forward some of the good work that had already been done, he told the Bees website. In December 2023, coming into Brentford, I'd never really spent a lot of money. I'd always worked at League 1 and League 2 level. The most I'd ever spent was £50,000 on a player. And then 6 weeks later, we were paying £5 million for Bryan Mbeumo. So obviously, I started to think, wow, this is big money. But at the end of the day, it's just different money, same process. Dykes, co-director of football Rasmus Ankersen, and head coach Thomas Frank made a quick trip to France in an effort to complete the deal for Mbeumo, but their initial talks came to nothing. We figured there was a possibility to sign Bryan, said Dykes. We had cleverly sourced that information, having been told that he wouldn't consider the championship. It became quickly apparent that we had to get in and out of France in a single day, as Thomas Frank had training commitments with the season approaching. There wasn't an airport nearby we could use from London for a same-day round trip, so we weren't sure if we could pull it off. I remember Rasmus calling me and saying, I spoke to Matthew Benham, the club owner, and he said he'll fire up a jet so we can get over there at that point. I just thought, wow, that's when the pressure really hit. I had everything lined up with Troyes and the agents involved. So, Thomas, Rasmus and I boarded the jet. It was one of the hottest days of the year, around 43 degrees Celsius when we landed. It was a 60-minute drive, and the taxi's air conditioning didn't work. We had the meeting, spoke with the player, the club, and the agent, but the deal fell through. I had convinced everyone to fly over there thinking it would get done, but it broke down. Things only got worse for Dykes before the Mbeumo deal was eventually revived. On the way back, and I'm not a good flyer, the pilot turned to us and said, it's chaos in London. There's snow, thunder, lightning. I thought, what? It was 43 degrees Celsius when we left France. The journey back was horrendous. I could see the pilot avoiding dark spots on the radar. I was bricking it. But we landed safely and, more importantly, managed to turn the deal around a few days later and sign him. So Brentford fans need to know I risked my life to bring Bryan Mbeumo to the club. Time is running out for Manchester United to get their transfer business done before pre-season begins. With only Matheus Cunha signed so far, Ruben Amorim is still waiting on key arrivals including a striker and a winger. The club is preparing a third bid for Bryan, while talks for Victor Gyökeres have stalled. Meanwhile, Marcus Rashford has surprisingly emerged as a target for Bayern Munich. With so many moving parts, here's a breakdown of the latest from Old Trafford and what United must do next. Ruben Amorim had hoped to integrate new signings on the club's US pre-season tours, but with training set to resume in less than a week, only Matheus Cunha has been brought in. Bids for Bryan Mbeumo, who have been rejected, and there's been no progress in securing a new striker. No incoming transfer fees have been registered either. Victor Lindelöf and Christian Eriksen have seen their contracts expire, while Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Alejandro Garnacho remain under contract. After finishing 15th last season, United clearly have work to do. Some progress may be on the horizon. Sporting CPR under less pressure to sell Victor Gyökeres despite the Swedish international's desire to leave this summer. The Portuguese side are open to a sale below his release clause but aren't financially pressured to sell. Sporting are reportedly close to finalizing a €55 million to €47.2 million deal with Crystal Palace for defender Ousmane Dembélé, boosting their funds. Gyökeres has attracted interest from both Arsenal and Manchester United. Arsenal previously had a bid of around €60 million rejected. Sporting are unlikely to accept less than €68.6 million for the forward. Club president Frederico Varandas has referenced fees already secured for Matheus Cunha and Martin Zubimendi. Meanwhile, Marcus Rashford is among the players being considered by Bayern Munich this summer. Vincent Kompany wants to add a winger to his squad, and the Manchester United Academy graduate is on their long list of options. Bayern are expected to miss out on Nico Williams to Barcelona, who have also shown interest in Rashford. According to reports from Germany, Rashford is not a top priority at the Allianz Arena, with Nico Williams, Liverpool's Luis Diaz, and PSG's Bradley Barcola are all also being monitored. Manchester United appear to be preparing a third offer for Mbeumo as talks with Brentford continue. The Red Devils are aiming to bring in the Cameroon international in time for the start of pre-season next week. However, the club is reportedly firm in its stance not to overpay after having 2 bids rejected, but it seems they won't delay further in trying to persuade the Bees. Former chief scout Mick Brown said that United are set to submit a new offer in the coming days and that they're confident a deal will be completed. "From what I hear, I expect things to speed up soon," he said. "I think it will go ahead." Jadon Sancho's time at Manchester United appears to be nearing its end, and Juventus are making a strong push to bring him to Serie A. Reports from Italy claim Juventus have proposed a bold swap deal involving 3 players, Dusan Vlahovic, Douglas Luiz, and Timothy Weah. Sancho has yet to agree terms with any club, and his massive wage of £250,000 per week remains a stumbling block. Could a player plus cash deal finally seal his exit? Let's explore the situation. Juventus have intensified their pursuit of Jadon Sancho and are believed to have offered Manchester United 3 different players in a potential swap. Sancho, 25, is surplus to requirements at Old Trafford and will be sold this summer, after failing to finalize a permanent move to Chelsea. Despite some initial interest across Europe, there's been little movement for the player who cost United a massive £73 million in the summer of 2021. Juventus remain among the clubs keen to sign the former Borussia Dortmund star, that has also been linked with Napoli. According to reports, Juventus are willing to send one of 3 high-profile players in exchange. Dusan Vlahovic is the first name mentioned. United have previously shown interest in the Serbian striker who was heavily linked with Arsenal before joining Juventus. The 25-year-old is in the final year of his contract and, like Sancho, is considered available for transfer. Douglas Luiz, formerly of Aston Villa, is another name being discussed. The 27-year-old spent 5 years at Villa Park and, like Vlahovic, has previously been linked with a move to United. Timothy Weah is the third player said to be available. The winger was recently approached by Nottingham Forest but declined the move. While Juventus are eager to offload Luiz Vlahovic and Weah, there are several options for United to consider in any Sancho deal, though these 3 names have been central in negotiations. The Italian club is reportedly willing to pay a transfer fee for Sancho, but his salary, said to be £250,000 per week, remains a key issue. Other European clubs continue to be linked with Sancho, who featured regularly during his loan at Chelsea last season, but no agreement has been reached, meaning he is expected to return to Carrington for pre-season